Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with the Sarah Jane Adventures. Last time on the Sarah Jane Adventures, we had the pilot Invasion of the Bane, where basically there were some kids in... one of you guys said which town this was in. I think you said like it was just a part of London, maybe. I don't remember. I'll get it sometime. But there were these kids who were neighbors with Sarah Jane, and they ended up caught in the middle of the invasion of the Bane, and Sarah Jane intervened, and together they stopped them. So yeah, it was pretty good, pretty fun. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to where we're going from there. Yeah, this is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. Let's stick to this episode and previous episodes of the Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood, Doctor Who, and Doctor Who Classic that I have reacted to. And yeah, also just a quick note, because this is the first two-parter we have. I know every story is split up into two parts that are 24 minutes long, so if you combine them, they're about the length of a normal Doctor Who episode. So you can probably judge by the title. If you're in full screen, it's up here if you wiggle the mouse. If not, it's down here. Yeah, I guess the title would be up here if you wiggle the mouse. So yeah, that sounds wrong. Okay. This does say part 1 and part 2 because I'm going to be including both parts of a story in one because of how short they are. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into the first part of this episode, and then obviously we'll move on to the next part. Here we go.
They just got weirder.
Uh-oh.
And weirder.
Oh god.
And weirder.
Oh. Yeah, it's the Slitheen. Oh boy.
That's a bit flashy.
It's a brand new building. There was an article about it in the paper.
Wonder what's inside it.
Probably classrooms. What the hell do you think is inside it?
Scan along. There are 16 classrooms with broadband connections, but anything dubious your adolescent minds may be drawn to.
Broadband connections. Holy crap.
Signs up for this. The first meeting's tomorrow.
Shut up!
Why is farting funny?
Shut up!
This, but it's a normal process of the human bowel.
Are you for real?
Oh yeah, what happened to Kelsey, by the way?
Sir?
What?
How am I meant to eat that?
Just pick the bad bits off.
If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. That's a good reference for you guys.
That is disgusting.
Bring your lunch. I brought my lunch every day of my friggin' secondary, primary school career.
Now they're putting up school buildings all around London. That makes a change for me. Not aliens, is it?
It's probably aliens.
There's a torch.
Call the flashlight.
With a flat battery. I'm not
Oh, that's an EMP.
I'll get the candles.
Interesting.
Yes.
I just realized I haven't started writing notes.
And guess who forgot to save her work?
Used to happen all the time when I was a kid. Always when there was something good on the telly. Remember once it went off right in the middle of Manor? I was distraught.
Well, hey, two more. Oh. That's
Weird.
that's a
Why is that
super
happening?
EMP.
To me. No, I'll do it.
Oh, now it works. Oh. Because now everything's coming back on.
And we destroy this planet.
Yo, on the one hand, I want to say that the villains on this show overact too much, but that's very accurate to Slitheen.
There's no door.
Well, you reckon they're hiding something, do you?
Ooh, something mysterious inside a school. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
Just a bit.
Do you mind if I keep this?
She's not that subtle, actually.
Changes the voltage of an Yes, we'll use him to solve the storage problem. A 14-year-old human child.
Can you guys keep it down?
Luke,
Pleased to meet you. Hi.
Carl's the science star of the school, suppose.
Why does no one shake hands?
He's probably pretty rubbish compared
Am I missing something?
Take a look at this.
Never been to school before. What, your mum taught you at home? No, and Sarah Jane isn't my mum. There are 16 classrooms in this building. Hold on. So what's Sarah Jane to you? She adopted me. Why don't you call her mum? She doesn't want me to.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to someone, does it?
What about your room?
If you know what's good for you. Is that a threat? Yes.
What?
After all,
It's just a straight up threat.
I hide.
Oh, here we go. Oh boy. Oh. Oh, do they have teeth now?
I love it when they run.
Oh boy. Yeah, Sarah's not waiting around. Oh gosh. They're like actually there now.
Is there a way out through here?
No, there's no way out.
He's Slitheen too. I thought about that too. He's a little kid Slitheen.
I am a child of the Slitheen.
You could probably kick him.
This is my hunt.
Alrighty. Oh god. No, stop! Stop, for God's sake. There's no way out, though. Just kick him. He's really small, actually. I feel like he's a little short to actually have fit into that kid. The kid wasn't too short.
Sarah Jane.
I was wrong, it is aliens.
Yeah, I know.
I was wrong, it is aliens.
Right, listen, she said you've got...
Yes.
Wolverine, pure masculine action.
It's interesting. It's a weakness they really didn't go into in Doctor Who.
What's that? Your sonic lipstick. Oh, of course.
What is he doing here? Sorry. Someone else's life in my hands. Just what I needed.
Yeah. Now you have 3 companions. I mean, you had Kelsey, but... I don't know, she was ridden off, apparently.
By a fleet of battle cruisers, return home to Raxacorico, Phalapatorius. I shall smite.
Did they have to say it slow because he couldn't get it? Raxacorico, Phalapatorius.
And there are 10 cities, 10 sites. Right, call the army.
Oh, right, because that always makes things better, doesn't it?
It's not
You can
your
call
job.
Torchwood.
And there's a...
As a side note, the video is a little is a tad bit out of sync on here.
I've just picked up this report on an American news channel.
Breaking news. There's a massive loss of power on the west coast of North America.
Oh no.
Los Angeles has gone dark.
It's starting.
Well,
And I told them
a lot more than Los Angeles, and that was a lot more than the West Coast, too.
Now I've helped to destroy.
Hello, Washington, D.C.
Howdy, London.
Connect.
Mr. Smith, give me.
They're not
everything
Southern
you've
in
got
Washington,
on the
you
inhabitants of
Washington,
Raxacorico,
D.C.
Phalapatorius. You're making that up.
You
Anyway,
stereotyping British people.
Accessing. They are a naturally hardy race. However, their bodies are notoriously hypersensitive to...
Ah, dang it. Go faster next time, Mr. Smith.
But we are the only people in the world who can stop this,
Well,
and we will.
I mean, there's Torchwood and Unit and the Doctor, but you guys are the only ones that are on the case.
Sonic thing, we
What's on those chips?
just salt and vinegar.
Salt must be it.
If the Slitheen made most
The
of them,
vinegar!
hydrate them. Like slugs.
No, they put extra salt in everything. Bread, butter. It's got to be something else. It's got to be the vinegar.
That's right, that was a weakness on Doctor Who.
The Slitheen are made of calcium. What's going on?
Oh my gosh.
Like the candles.
They switched off the sun.
What, the 4 of us? With vinegar in plastic squeezies?
Yeah, basically. Oh my gosh, they're draining the sun, which is really creepy.
On this rubbish planet. That's why we win.
Yeah, you gotta do a bit more. Oh! You killed him! Oh, Going all Arya Stark up in here.
You made the mistake. When you showed me the diagram, you didn't tell me that you was going to steal power from the sun. It'll explode. It's a bluff. What's a bluff? A bluff? Well, the boy might.
Yeah, he doesn't know what a bluff is, so he's not lying.
Reset the system.
Oh, that's exactly what they want. If it resets for a second, it doesn't work. Oh. Nice. Ooh. Just blow it up. Alright, they're leaving. Ooh, she's dying. Sarah.
Burn itself out.
We did it.
Huh.
He was a child, 12 years old.
It was them or us.
It's not the mentality you go with.
I saw him vanish.
Bye now. Left to the brig. Just sorted that. Some friends of mine are going to clear it all up.
Did she call the Brigadier?
This unit, a furniture shop.
Lost her. She's off gallivanting with Susie Q.
Sarah Jane. Her name is Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
Sarah Jane.
Learn her name.
What are those things got in common? Or rather, who have they got in common, eh?
I don't know.
So the mother's actually figuring...
It's all happening to me. I just can't move for disasters. It's like I'm cursed.
Okay, then.
Who built you?
All systems are functioning normally. Beware your curiosity, boy.
Freak weather conditions.
Huh.
Temporary reversals.
How nice. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Just a quick note before we head over and move on to the discussion. I do want to say that particularly this second episode, but a little bit of the first part too, was desynced. The audio was desynced on Amazon Prime. I don't know if that's an internet problem, or if that's an Amazon problem, or if it's a computer problem. I don't know. But I'm sure some of you guys are going to mention that in the comment section. So I just wanted to tell you right off the bat, I know that the audio was desynced, and I don't know why. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get going on the discussion as I have some more grape juice. This grape juice is good, but it's hard to like take the whole thing. It's like I thought I'd be done with it by now, but no. Woo! Okay. So the first thing I wrote down was EMP, which it really wasn't technically. It really wasn't an EMP, although it did seem like that at first, because they knocked out all the power. And I was like, okay, so they're just knocking out the power. Okay. Then, when stuff like Sarah's watch started to, power down, I was like, okay, so it's an EMP, which is causing everything to be black out. But it's more of the energy drain that, which was really explained with the fire. The fact that, those candles went out, which was interesting, and then when it stopped, the candles came back, which was interesting. The flames on the candles came back. So it's like an EMP, but not an EMP, because it's not just knocking everything out, it's also draining all that energy, which is interesting because they were also draining the energy of the sun, which was crazy. And that, at that point, you would probably think that Torchwood might get involved, or the Doctor might get involved, I don't know, or Unit. But at least they did mention Unit at the end, when, they were like, well, what do we do? A bunch of buildings just have these random rooms with alien technology. And Sarah was like, oh, I called the unit. They're going to take care of it. It's like, well, that's nice. And it's interesting. I imagine, would Sarah have sway with unit maybe? Like, I guess she kind of knew. She would have known unit a little bit, wouldn't she? I don't know, because she came in on the third Doctor with John Pertwee. And John Pertwee was with unit a lot. Although I know that unit was also part of the fourth Doctor's era too, which she was a part of. So, yeah. And so, but I think she specifically said she called the Brigadier, which was pretty cool. Nice that we keep bringing up the Brigadier. That's nice. So yeah, so that's interesting. That it was draining all the energy and even draining energy from the sun, which is a step up from what the original Slitheen family was doing on Doctor Who, which was really just destroy the world. So this time they're just draining all the energy, which will just leave the planet dry. You know, it won't... And then they can... They didn't really go into what they were going to do with the planet, I guess, because the original family wanted to sell the planet. Like, they were basically... That's what they did, was they went and destroyed planets and then sold what was left of them, basically. So that is interesting. Which, I wrote down Revenge. This episode is called Revenge of the Slitheen, so they are trying to get vengeance for the original family that died in Doctor Who. However, they're not involving anyone who was involved in those original episodes. Because obviously there's no Rose and Mickey, but they're not going after Unit, which was featured, I believe was featured in those episodes. I don't remember. That was a while ago. Actually, now that I think about it, I watched those episodes almost a year ago. Maybe 11 months ago now. Wow. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary, actually, of me starting Doctor Who. Isn't that crazy? Well, that's nice. I'm alright with that. So yeah. So this is called Revenge of the Slitheen because they're trying to finish what the original family started, which is to destroy the Earth and sell it, basically. They're just doing it in their own way, but they're not getting vengeance on the Doctor who was involved with that. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I wrote down the young Slitheen. I like that they did that, because it made this a bit more interesting than just the normal... Well, here's a bunch of Slitheen. You know, okay, we've had that. We had that actually in 3 episodes on Doctor Who, because they were in that 2-parter originally, the first 2-parter of Doctor Who, and then one of them was also in Boomtown in Series 1. So it was nice to know, it was nice to see something different, basically. Woo. I don't know if this was my best idea getting these. Okay. That's a weird connection I just thought of. The last time I really had grape juice was when I was a kid. And the next time I'm having grape juice is when I'm watching a kid show. That's interesting. Although, again, for it being a kid, labeled as a kid show, it definitely doesn't feel like what you would associate with the words kids show. Like, this is basically just Doctor Who starring kids. So that's the thing about it. But anyway, the young Slitheen, that was cool, really interesting. I like that they were all practical, and through the entire thing they were practical. They were practical effects. They were all dudes in costumes, basically. Which I did like, because in early Doctor Who, they did have costumes for when, they would go over and then, try to attack. But then when they were running around and hunting people, then it switched over to CG. And it wasn't really a smooth transition, so... I wrote down smell because that is interesting that they went with that as a weakness, because I don't know. Have they ever really used that? Did they ever mention that in those episodes on Doctor Who? I feel like they did, but I don't know. But they did kind of rely on that, is that one of the weaknesses is they have such a heightened sense of smell that it helps them hunt, but you can easily overpower them by just overloading their smell, basically their sense of smell, with any sort of perfume like Sarah Jane had, or the body spray that Clyde had. Did I skip over talking about Clyde? I think I did. Yeah. Whoopsies. Okay, so we'll talk about Clyde a little bit. Interesting character, I guess. He does sort of play... He's like a not bratty version of Kelsey from the first episode, from the pilot, which I liked Kelsey okay. I thought she wasn't really bad. She was a little annoying, but I don't know. She was very much like the stereotypical preteen girl, I guess. So yeah, I was okay if we were going to keep her around for the show, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like the actress didn't come back, or they didn't want her to come back, or whatever. Maybe because I know that was the first episode was filmed and released a decent number of months before this episode. It's possible that the character didn't go over too well with audiences, so they replaced her with Clyde. And Clyde, I do kind of like. We're going through the whole thing again of bringing in a character who is skeptical about aliens and doesn't know, but now they're starting to learn because they're involved in all this. It's fine. It'll be interesting to see. We'll probably talk about Clyde a bit more as we go on, because this was just sort of the introduction. So yeah. We talked about draining the energy and the sun. I wrote down Mother Stupid, because at first I was like, oh man, she's already like getting a connection. She's already seeing a connection to all these weird things happening and Sarah Jane. And then she was just like, you know, the one thing that's in common? It's all happening to me. And I'm just like, okay. I don't like the character of the mother. The mother is very annoying. And it's no wonder, like, okay, the husband, the father said, Alan Jackson, that was his name. So Alan said, like, she left him for a judo instructor or something. And it's like, are you sure you didn't divorce her? Because she is so annoying. It's like, maybe that's a blessing in disguise. It's like, yeah, you're getting a divorce, but maybe that's for the best, because she seems horrible. And she can't get Sarah Jane's name right, which is kind of funny. And I just like that he finally was like, it's Sarah Jane. Get her name right. So yeah. And then the last thing I wrote down was Mr. Smith. So that last scene where Clyde was sort of snooping around trying to figure out, he was trying to get answers basically, and Mr. Smith just shocked him and was like, you know, temper your curiosity or something. It's like, whoa, okay, Mr. Smith, you're getting a little... I mean, it kind of makes sense, you know. I would imagine Sarah doesn't want Clyde snooping around getting too much information, even from Mr. Smith. But that was a little... I don't know, that was a little interesting. So it'll be interesting to see where we go with that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wrote. So yeah. Good episodes, I guess. Technically 2 episodes, but we watched them as one. I'm just going to count them as one. So, good episode. Really enjoyed it. Thinking I'm going to have a lot of fun with Sarah Jane. Okay, that's we could make this less awkward by saying, I think I'm going to have fun watching this show. Yeah, which is good, because I've got a lot of episodes to go through. Actually, at a point... I think this is after Series 4 of Doctor Who, and don't quote me on this, but at some point Sarah Jane is going to start doubling up in episodes. So yeah, that'll be interesting. But luckily, I like the cast, which is good. This does just seem like another Doctor Who show, just with kids, and instead of the Doctor, it's Sarah Jane. So yeah, I'm totally on board for this show, and I'm liking it. And with that all being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Sarah Jane Adventures reactions, you can click on the playlist. You can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.